Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Deanna and you're watching Orchid D, and it is a stinking hot day here in Brisbane today. I have a huge number of orchids to repot, and I was going to take you along for the journey, but I just cannot work outside in this heat today, so I'm still going to repot, but I'm probably not going to repot all of them, but we're going to do it inside. I apologize for the bad lighting inside. It's just the way it is. Mostly I just want to show you guys which orchids I have to repot, like which ones are on my list. And we'll talk through which ones I'm going to repot today and which ones I'm going to leave and why. Before we go back inside, I just want to do a little update on this Gongora spike, which is just getting massive and is very close to blooming as well. But check it out. There we are, we're nearly at the floor. So very, very cool. Anyway, it's noisy out here, so I'm gonna go. Alright guys, well here we are in my kitchen, thank goodness, and you can see I've got quite a few orchids on my list to repot. Now I don't think I'm going to get through all of them today, but we're going to have a look at them all, and we're going to go through whether it might be a good time to repot them or not, based on where they sort of are in their growth cycle, whether they're likely to, I guess, take and, you know, at a good stage to, I guess, minimize the transplant shock. But also some of them are just in dire need of repotting because of their media and the condition that they're currently in. So I do have quite a few young plants that are in small pots with almost pure sphagnum. And in my last video, or maybe the one before that, I did show you that a few of these have a reasonable amount of algae in them. I did make a video about my seedlings earlier this year, and I did say at the time that I noticed, I guess, better results with a small bark mixed with some sphagnum mixed into it rather than, I guess, mostly pure sphagnum. And I certainly still feel that way. So from my perspective, all these ones in pure sphagnum, I would like to change the medium anyway, but what's sort of making things a little bit more urgent for me is this algae, which, you know, algae's fine by me. I don't really mind, but it's when it goes slimy, it's a lot more likely to, I guess, affect the roots, and you can see this one is really disgusting. Like, I don't know, especially for Oncidium types, if they're really small roots, I don't think they would do well competing with that algae there. This one as well. So these guys will definitely get changed. But these seedling phals, they're actually doing not too bad. So I guess it's not urgent, but I do think it'll be a fairly quick repot for these guys, so they will probably still get done. One of them I accidentally dropped on the way down, so it definitely needs a repot, so yep. But yeah, I guess from my perspective, these guys should be fairly easy because sphagnum is quite an easier medium to remove. I know that they're all relatively healthy, so I shouldn't have too much trouble, and because they're small, they shouldn't have a lot of dead roots to take off. So I will probably end up doing most of these guys today. And now we'll go through the more mature plants to see which ones we'll repot. So the first one I want to show you guys is this Laelia Paparata. My auntie gave this to me last week. She's struggling to keep on top of all her orchids, and she knows I like Laelia Paparatas, and this one was in flower when she gave it to me. It had one spike and 2 flowers. It just wilted in this heat. The Laelia Paparata flowers I've noticed don't actually last that long anyway. So yeah, it was probably on its way out anyway, but check out this medium that it's in. I don't know how old it is. I don't even know what this stuff is. I think it might have previously been live moss, but it's dead now, and the medium in here is pretty much like soil. It's very fine. Most of the roots that are on that I can feel are dead, and you can see that these pseudobulbs are quite shriveled, so I don't think this plant's doing very well. A healthy Laelia Paparata has beautiful plump pseudobulbs without wrinkles, so this one is struggling, and it does have a small growth coming up there, but you can see it's covered in ants. And I've tried to get rid of the ants, but every time I water this thing, like a million ants come out of the pot. So it's got an ant infestation in there. And for that reason alone, but also because I know this plant isn't doing well, I think this is one I'll have to repot today. Now, I'm not looking forward to repotting this. I think it's going to be a mess. But the plant, so firstly, the plant's not doing well. So it does need to be repot, but you know, I always sort of had in my plan for Laelia Paparatas that I was just going to pot them on from now on, just because I've had 2 Laelia Paparatas, and in my last update I showed you that one of them is doing well, it's sort of pulling through, but the other one I tried to resuscitate for like 6 months and I've just thrown it out last week into the bin. It's gone. I don't know what it is with these guys, but they do not like being repotted. I don't know if it's just me, maybe it's just me, but they really respond badly to repotting. So firstly, I think it's quite sensitive to repotting, so I'm not looking forward to that. Secondly, I don't think I'm going to be able to just pot it on because this medium looks awful. I think it's probably so acidic in there, it's actually killing off the current roots. And it's got an ant infestation, so I kind of need to just get rid of that medium. So I am going to have to disturb that root system somewhat. But the third thing is because it looks so stressed at the moment, it clearly doesn't have a great reserve to begin with. So yeah, I hope I don't kill it. But yeah, maybe we'll follow this one's journey. So Roger, I don't mean to copy you, but I'm going to make this one probably a bit like a project orchid like you've done, just because it's probably worth following the journey of this Laelia Paparata. There's not, I don't think there's a lot of information on YouTube or out there about these guys, or as much as I'd like anyway. And so, yeah, I think it'd be good to see how it goes. So this is my next one. This is a Cattleya BLC George King crossed with Brunswick Blush. Beautiful fragrance on this one. Anyway, it was repotted in April last year, and I clearly put it in a pot that was way too big for it. It has lost 3 of its back bulbs, and even then I didn't repot it. This is how lazy I was. I just cut the rotting bulbs off, left them in the pot, and put some dragon's blood there. So it's got 3 bulbs and 1 coming out now, and I'm just going to clean it up a little bit and put it into a smaller pot. So this one I've been waiting to do for a little bit and putting off, so I will definitely do this one today. Now the rest of these guys are from the orchid show I went to recently with Christine, and they've all lost their flowers. So they're all definitely due for a repot. You can see this one is taking over this pot. Looks fairly old, the medium, and the next growth is not going to fit. It's a big brassica hybrid. You can see by the look of the flowers, and I've lost the tag actually. I don't know how, but I've lost the tag. But it is a Banfieldara Mystic Maze or Gilded Tower. It's Gilded Tower Mystic Maze or Mystic Maze Gilded Tower. I can't remember, but this is what the flowers look like. Anyway, it is actually putting out a new growth from a previous bulb, and I can see something coming out there. But this is actually the newest bulb, so I'm not sure if something's happening down there, but it does seem like a good time to repot it. I find that once these growths are a few inches tall, they do take to repotting pretty well. I've never had a huge problem with repotting the Oncidiums. They usually take fairly easily. So I do feel though that this is going to be a messy repot. I think there's going to be a lot of roots to sort through and to clean out that medium. So this is in my maybe list. I may postpone this one for today. So the last ones are these 3 Cattleya and a Miltoniopsis up the back there. These are all my spotty Cattleyas, so I'm really hoping they all do okay. This is LC Jungle Queen crossed with C Quarterback. So you can see that this is where the flower spike was, and it's expired now. So this is the newest pseudobulb. I'm not actually sure if this is 2 plants or 1. But anyway, it does look like this is a recent growth as well, but you can see here it has tried to bring out a new growth but failed for whatever reason. The medium, well, it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look horrible. It's clearly orchiata bark and it's not breaking down. It's just very dry, that's all. But it is bringing out roots on this cane, so this is obviously one that loses its flowers and then establishes roots for that pseudobulb. So it's probably not a bad time to repot it right now, but it's not an immediate I have to repot it straight away. It would be nice to actually see probably a few more nubbins developing there, but I think if I repot it now it would be totally fine as well. So yes, this is in the maybe list. Next, this is BPL Golden Spice Red Peppers. I'm actually still not sure what BPL is, but I did look this plant up online and they've renamed it a Vornara. Now, I've never heard of a Vornara before and there's actually not much information on it, but I think, then this is just from one like forum post, but I think this is a cross between Epidendrum stamfordiana and a BC Richard Mueller, I think. Okay, but you can see that there are 2 new growths there, and this one is actually coming along. Down the bottom you might be able to see a little root nubbin coming out. Even if that root nubbin wasn't coming out, I actually do think this is a really good time to repot. I have found that once the Cattleyas have started with these new growths and they are sort of progressing nicely, I find that they've got some sort of momentum, and I find that they do pretty well when I repot them at this stage. So I think before it gets too big and starts leafing out, I think this is actually a perfect time to repot. So this one is definitely getting repot today. So the last Cattleya is Laelia tenebrosa crossed with SLC Jungle Hotspots, and I really love the flowers on this one. So even though the plant I thought wasn't looking super fantastic, it's still, newest bulb was still fairly healthy. And you can see down here that that growth is just starting to swell that eye. Oh, maybe there is a second eye swelling as well, but just underneath that growth, can you see that little green nubbin there? So it's starting to produce some more roots as well. So yeah, it's probably a great time to repot this one. But as I said before, I do think it's nice to wait till these growths are just a couple of inches tall. They just seem to have this momentum, and yeah, they don't seem to mind the repot process as much, but I think also it would be totally fine to repot today, but because it can wait, it's on the maybe list. So the last one to decide on is this Lilliana Akimoto, which is my very cool Miltoniopsis with white flowers and the Batman symbol in the middle. Yeah, I had to get it even though I promised myself not to get any more Miltoniopsis orchids because it's 37 degrees here today and it's way too hot for them. But anyway, I still got it because I liked the flowers, which is a terrible reason to get orchids, but it's what we all do. So the main issue I have with this is the media that it's potted in. It dries way too quickly. It's just, it just does not suit my home and how I'm keeping my orchids, and yeah, it's not going to do well if I keep it in this media. But we know that the Miltoniopsis orchid does not handle the heat well, so if I repot it, it's going to be stressed, and then we have more hot days coming up. So yeah, I'm thinking it's not the best time to repot this orchid. I'm just going to have to suck it up and keep on top of the watering, and maybe repot it when the weather starts to cool down a little bit. Alright everyone, well, here she is, my unpotted Laelia Paparata. The roots actually look pretty good. There's a lot of dead roots down there, and pretty much everything in the center there was dead. You can see the center part of this rhizome is quite dark, and there is some sort of rot, I guess, going on, and all the roots in the center were basically dead, so everything attached to this part of the rhizome was dead. But I have chopped off one of the smallest back bulbs there, and there's no purple ring. It is dark around there, so what I am going to do is chuck it in some fungicide solution for a little while. There were heaps and heaps of ants in there, so yeah, I've given it a really thorough spray, and I don't have any more ants crawling all over me, so that's good. So yeah, this was never really meant to be an actual repotting video. I just wanted you guys to see the state, I guess, of this Laelia Paparata, and we'll follow its progress after I repot it, and yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Alright guys, well here's the end product for the Laelia Paparata. I've managed to keep that new growth intact, but I've noticed more ants crawling over it, so I don't know where they come from, but I don't mind a couple of ants crawling around, that's fine. I really thought I got them all though, but yeah, there was like hundreds and hundreds of ants that came out of that pot, so as long as there's not another infestation, I think that's fine. So I've used quite a big pot for this. This would be, I'm guessing, about a 20 centimeter pot, but you can see that it was pretty necessary. There would have been no point in just using like a 15 centimeter pot, so 20 centimeters, that would be about 8 inches, I guess. And you can see even then, these are the two new growths, and they were opposite each other, so I've actually pushed them together a little bit, so the plant is in a little bit of a U formation, if you can see that. And it's just going to allow a little bit more space for the new growths to develop. Alright, well these are the rest of the orchids that I managed to repot the other night. It's only been a few days, so it's hard to tell what'll happen with them, but I had a few little mishaps during the repotting process, which does happen all the time. I'm just a bit of a klutz, but I broke this leaf, I knocked off an eye on this one. I dropped this even before I started repotting. I think I did mention it earlier, but that leaf's broken. So yeah, you know, it happens to everybody. Just so you guys don't feel bad if you accidentally, you know, break stuff. I'm pretty sure it happens to the best of us. So yeah, this Cattleya, I think it's actually done well in the last few days. You can see that growth is actually beginning to leaf out a little bit. You can see the tip of that beginning to split. Yeah, I think overall they're going to be quite happy. I love this mix that I use. So for the seedlings, I do use a precision mix, which is small grade or seedling grade orchiata bark, perlite and charcoal, and I mix in a little bit of sphagnum as well. For the Cattleyas, I do tend to use a bit more leca and a bit of a larger bark mix, which you can see here. So yeah, hopefully these guys do well, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more orchid videos. I hope you guys have a great week and happy growing until I see you next time. Bye.